It's the Joseph Bristol Show.
Welcome to another episode of the Joseph Bristol Show. On today's episode, I want to talk about, I guess it would be social justice or social reform, because there has been a lot of things going on in the world lately. And especially with this whole withdrawal from Afghanistan and women's rights and that going on, and people so focused on that, I just think it's very important that I talk about social reform specifically. More so because I was on Instagram the other day, which I do not support any Facebook products. That's Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp, because again, Mark Zuckerberg works for the CIA and they are collecting data on American citizens and using that data to then monitor us. Same reason why I don't support Apple anymore, because they are monitoring your pictures. It's in the last iOS update. I have a video about that as well, but we're not going to get into that. So social reform is what I want to talk about, although those things are important for that aspect. But one of the things I want to touch on with social reform, right, is and listen, I'm not downplaying anybody that posts things about things that is happening in the world, right? So, I don't have a problem with people who have never talked about anything going on in Afghanistan all of a sudden posting, all women's rights. What a sad story going on for the women in Afghanistan. Although, again, they have been going through this for years, and most of the people that are now posting about it have never posted about it. They never said anything about it. They never even cared. But irrelevant. The fact that you're doing it now, I commend you. I salute you. And I would hope that your new intrigue about these things persists, that you keep it up. But the reason why I want to touch on social reform is because there's a lot of things going on all over the world. We're talking about Yemen, social civil war going on over there. We're talking about different parts of Africa, Ethiopia, where we have governments murdering its civilians. We have civil wars going on. China, where the Uyghur Muslims are being captured and put into concentration camps. Afghanistan, the Taliban is taking over. We're talking about still over there in Saudi Arabia, the Saudi prince ordering basically assassinations on anybody that talks bad about him. Remember, he killed Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist who talked about him. He still hasn't been persecuted for that. We could talk about Hong Kong, where people are losing their rights that they were promised to have for 50 years, but they're losing that. They're not allowed to talk out against the Chinese government. Even here in America, where we have our police officers that murder black people on a daily basis, where we have white supremacists walking around, shooting up the streets, shooting up schools, shooting up churches, shooting up movie theaters, you name it, they shooting it up. And even now, there's have been a rise of gang violence in America, right? At least that's what they're portraying to us on the news. You see it all the time. Oh, this gang and that gang is going at war with each other, right? So with all these things happening in the world, there's a lot going on. So yeah, you don't have to talk about every single one of them. You don't have to post about every single one of them. And maybe you just chose to talk about Afghanistan because you're a woman and these are women issues, and you feel like, I gotta say something for my women. Now, here is where I have an issue. It comes into, well, what are you gonna do? If your only thing is about posting to social media, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Tumblr, I don't care. You just feel like you're just going to post something and that's it, that's all you do, then you're not really helping anything at all. Yes, you're bringing awareness of the issue, but you're bringing awareness to who? To me? To other people like you? Where are your solutions? Where is your solutions to these issues? So with this whole thing, with everywhere in the world, let me say this first, with everywhere in the world where there is people being oppressed, I understand that oppression is hurtful and it is psychologically damaging and emotionally damaging, and it can cripple you into submission. I get that. But at some point, each person has to say, I'm either going to die a slave, right? I'm going to die oppressed. This goes back into what Kanye West said when he said slavery was a choice. I'm either going to die a slave or I'm going to die trying to be free. I'm going to die running away, right? And this kind of goes into, gender roles, which is why I support equity, right? As opposed to equality. I support people being allowed to flourish in their role as opposed to people being given any role they want. Because what's happening over there in Afghanistan, people will say, well, why don't the men get up and fight for the women? You know what I mean? Why? Some people even look at what happened with the plane, right? These people were clinging on to airplanes and falling to their death instead of trying to find some guns to fight the Taliban. So they would rather die trying to escape this traumatic situation as opposed to die fighting for their freedom. And of course, we live in a society where, again, we're talking about equality, right? Women are equal to men. They are like men, because that's what equal means. Me and you are the same. We have the same of everything, right? And then you would say, well, okay, why don't the women get guns and fight? Oh, women get pregnant. Women have kids. Men have kids as well. But it is in our world a man's role to die for his family. His job is to go out and fight and die to ensure that his wife and children live a prosperous life. Women aren't meant to fight. Well, that's not true. Over there in Africa, before they killed Gaddafi had an all-female platoon. His top closest soldiers were all females. You know what I mean? So that's not the case here. But really what I'm getting to, right, is that posting about these things is not enough. There's a lot of things going on, right? So what can you do to help these people, to help these women in Afghanistan, to help the Uyghur Muslims in China, to help the oppression going on all over the world? Again, in Africa, what can we do? Again, posting is very good. I commend you. It's good. You're bringing awareness. You're talking about it with other people. Great. That's just the bare minimum that you can do. That's literally like seeing a woman get raped and you just shout, hey, stop that. That's the bare minimum you can do. Actually, that's not even the bare minimum. Below that is seeing this woman get raped and thinking in your head, well, I'm not going to do that, and then walk away. The next step up would be screaming, hey, stop that. And then, of course, the next step up is going over to stop that. Actually, the next step up would be finding someone else who can then go over and stop that. And above that step would be you yourself going over to that situation and stopping the thing, right? Which would be putting yourself on the line, your freedom, your safety, your life, in order to help someone else, right? And the reason why, again, I'm bringing this up is for social reform to be enacted, or to be anything worth, solid, there needs to be action. We need to crack eggs in order to make an omelet. No one wants to be the cracked egg, right? Everyone wants to be the chicken who makes the eggs that maybe get cracked, or the person who eats the omelet. Most people don't want to be the egg that's getting cracked to make that omelet. But you have to ask yourself, where would we be today as black people in America? Where would we be today if those marchers didn't go out and march? They knew the police was going to bust them over the head. They still went out and marched. They still went out and protested nonviolence. Where would we be today without Huey P. Newton, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King? Where would we be without their sacrifice, without them saying to themselves, I'm scared. I know they're going to hurt me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Even the women's suffrage movement. Women in America didn't have rights. They just got their rights. What was that? Maybe 50 years ago, 60, 70 years ago, something like that. It ain't been 150 years, 200 years. Women been voting and doing their thing. So how did that happen? Women got up, they marched, they were beaten by police, they were hosed down, they were attacked in the street. But they said, you know what? I gotta fight for this. I need more out of life. I'm ready to die for this, so that my kids and my future generation, and maybe some of them women didn't even have kids, but they was like, you know what? So other women can have what I never had. I'm ready to die for this. And why am I saying this? Because again, Biden said the Afghanistani people have to be willing to fight for their freedom. And I agree with him. The Hong Kong people have to be willing to fight for their freedom. Maybe you haven't seen the videos, but look them up. In Hong Kong, them people was out there protesting. They knew the police was coming for them. You know how many people in Hong Kong got arrested knowing that they would get arrested? But they still went out and protest anyway. They still went out and fought against their oppressor. This is what I'm saying. It's not enough to just say you want freedom, you want equality. Are you willing to get your head bust wide open in order to have that? Because that's how we got here. I'm only able to make YouTube videos as a black man because other black people sacrificed their safety, their freedom, their lives in order for me to be here today. And I still don't have all the freedom that they died and fought for. Police still killing us. You still got redlining. You still got racist school districting. You still got voter oppression. Yeah, I mean, I can check off the list of problems in America facing black people. But what am I doing about it? Am I just going to cry about it? Am I just going to post on the internet, oh, America's racist? That's it? That's my solution? That's all I'm going to do? No. You have to be willing to be the omelet that gets cracked to make an egg. So what can you do? Write your congressperson. Make noise to your governor. Vote. These people, you'll see people all over the internet posting about women's rights. Oh, women in Afghanistan. These are the same women that don't vote. They don't go to college. They don't try to secure a job, or they work at a job and as soon as, somebody sexually harasses them, they brush it off. They act like, oh, that's nothing. No, that's something. That's something. You need to go report that guy to HR. And if HR don't do nothing about it, you need to make up some noise. You need to make up some noise, because that's how change is done. You have to be willing to be that person to make the change happen. So again, how can we help these people in Afghanistan, in Hong Kong, in Africa, in China? How can we help these people to fight against their oppressor? We put the pressure on our politicians. We write our governor, our senator, and we make noise and we tell them, hey, listen, if you don't do something, we're going to vote you out of power. Because that's the power of the people in America. So again, we have these American women who here crying, oh, it's not fair. Look, in Afghanistan, the women can't go to school. You don't even go to school. Look, in Afghanistan, the women can't vote. You don't even vote. And you live in a country where you can go to school, you can vote, you can walk around just however you want, and you don't even participate in the rights that you have here. But you're going to get on social media and cry about Afghanistani women? Just cut it out, man. You have to be willing to be the egg that makes the omelet. You have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to die for something greater than you. Your life now has purpose. Your death is meaningful. As opposed to dying in a car crash and, a couple of your friends come out, oh, yeah. This guy, George Floyd, very controversial opinion. Most people are probably going to get upset. This guy, George Floyd, died, and people have turned him into some type of hero for black people. What has he done for black people? Was he out there marching? Was he out there protesting police brutality? This dude was doing an illegal act. The police came. They roughed him up. They killed him. That ain't right. Of course that's not right. But he ain't no black justice fighter. He ain't no Fred Hampton. He ain't no Martin Luther King, no Malcolm X. This is a regular black dude who ain't did nothing for black people. And as soon as you're talking to somebody, they're like, oh, George Floyd was a hero. A hero to who? So, what did he do? What did he do for me and you to progress our lives? He did nothing. He let a man put his knee on his neck and kill him. Police put their knee on my neck. I'm bucking, I'm wilding, I'm flopping and flaunting. And what do you mean? They'd have had to shot me for resisting arrest, because there's no way I'm going to let you kill me. Controversial opinion. I'll get off that subject. The point I'm making is we have to be willing to fight. You have to be willing to fight. You need to vote. You need to run for politics. You need to write your congressperson, write your senator. You need to actually participate in the political process that you have the right to participate in. And yes, post it to social media. Talk to other people. Share the information. Look up some information. Actually read. It ain't enough to read a headline. Read the article. Read, gain knowledge. Social reform, social justice, the battle for equality of the whole world, where poor people and rich people can live equal, the battle for women to be put on a higher tier of living, has to be a battle that you're willing to die for. You're willing to lose friends for, lose family over. You're willing to be targeted because you want better. There's women in Afghanistan who knew that the Taliban would murder them if they kept doing what they was doing. And they kept doing it. They kept doing it. They kept saying, hey, listen, women got to go to school. We need birth control. We need our rights. We need it. Taliban threatening them, we're going to murder you, we're going to murder your family. And them women still went out there and said, man, I'm not stopping. I want better for me. I want better for my future. I want better for everybody. I'm ready to die for this. And all you want to do is post to social media? You're not even willing to take a couple minutes to write your senator, write your congressperson. You're not even willing to take a couple hours and stand in line to vote? But you think you some... Oh, I care about women's rights. I posted to my Instagram story. You ain't nobody. You ain't doing nothing. You doing the bare minimum. Cut it out. We make some real changes in this world, in this country, if we put up a fight. If we write our congressperson, write our senators, vote, participate in the political process, run for politics. Go to your school board meeting. Write these people. Make noise. Call them. Email them. Make some noise. Let them know that the people that they represent care. And if they don't do what we tell them to do, we will vote you out of power. We will put somebody else in a position of power who will do what we tell them to do. That's what I'm saying. It's not enough to sit around posting things on the internet acting like you high and mighty, you somebody that care about the world, because you don't care. If you cared, you'd be willing to be an egg that gets cracked to make the omelet. So I just had to say something because, again, I don't really like to see those type of things where people, you know how long this war in Afghanistan has been? 20 years we've been out there fighting them people. 20 years we've been killing civilians, murdering women and children. 20 years. 20 years. Even before we went out there, women was being oppressed. Nobody cared. Nobody said anything. But now all of a sudden that we leaving, and it's all over the news. Every woman on social media is, oh, the women in Afghanistan. You don't even care about the women here, but you care about the women over there. You don't even vote, but you care about the women over there being able to vote. You don't even go to college, but you care about them women over there going to college. Cut it out. Cut it out. If you don't want better for yourself, how you going to want better for someone else? Cut it out. Thanks for watching another episode of the Joseph Bristol Show. I know a lot of y'all, if y'all made it to the end of this, y'all probably like, yo, man, this dude bugging. Oh, he wrong. Look at his mind. He don't understand. He's a man. What are you, an idiot? I'm a black man who lives in America. Not only am I a black man, look at my skin. I am a dark-skinned black man who lives in America. I know what oppression is. I know how it feels to go into a job and people look at you sideways. People send you out and push you out. I know what it's like to work for a man who calls you racist names, who talk down to you, but you can't quit because you need the job, you need the money. I know what it's like to want to do something, want to go somewhere, but you can't even go there because of the color of your skin, because of who you are. What are you talking about? I know oppression. And what I'm telling you is I ain't out here just crying, sitting around doing nothing. I'm making noise. I write my congressperson. I vote. I'm out here making noise. I'm making videos to tell you to fight the oppression. Let's stop playing around and just sitting around on our butts twiddling and posting to social media. Make some real noise. Do something. It ain't enough to do nothing. Cut it out. Thanks for watching another episode of Joseph Bristol Show. Let's all remember, man, we all out here trying to do the same thing. Everybody trying to do the same thing. The Taliban, the women, the men, the blacks, the whites, the supremacists, everybody trying to do the same thing. Be happy. Some people are willing to be happy at the expense of others, which is not good. But everyone's trying to be happy and survive. Nobody wants to die. We're all just trying to survive in this world, trying to make our way through the world and figure out where we fit in and how we can prosper and have more for our people. Y'all stay safe. Stay blessed.